Right. So, first show this week. So this week doesn't exactly. I don't know. This week sort of has a theme ish. Like going in, we sort
Poker
of
face,
imagine.
Sam. Poker face. Don't show any sign of fucking weakness. This week's theme is shows where we didn't quite know what to expect going in. Now, I am a biased motherfucker, dye blue, overeducated, all that shit, and I generally just go into. If I have a flaw as a critic, which I don't, but if I had a flaw as a critic, I definitely have a preset attitude heading into most things.
Yeah. I'd say that's probably about right.
Like, I see the stills, I see the plot summary, I see the staff, and I think I have an idea how things are going to go. And that preconception is often wrong, but I think I would have to be some kind of Cylon if I didn't say maybe that tilts some of my opinions at times.
I'm somewhat similar in that I will sometimes just read a description, and if I have not been affected by the anchoring effect yet, I will sometimes read a description of a show on my anime list, and a lot of the time, I will just think to myself, "Oh, it seems like such a fucking hassle to watch."
Oh man, don't you hate having to do your hobbies, man? If only I could just be chained to my cubicle at all times with no possible forms of distraction.
I'm like realizing now just how counterintuitive it is to me being like a half decent fucking anime critic, right? Because I seem to actually rely on someone saying, "Hey, you should check out this show," thus, giving me a predisposition, I guess, towards or against, a show like I think Assassin's Pride I checked out on the recommendation of, I don't know, someone, because they were telling me, "Listen, you gotta
Someone out
fucking
there.
watch this stupid fucking shit."
I don't know, we do a lot of season chart diving though. It's not purely secondhand smoke.
Well, yeah, the episode before last, that was I think that was you looking at the season chart and picking out the two most interesting ones. And these two were us picking out the two most this could be either really good or really shitty.
So yeah, our theme this time is things that were basically on the dividing line and could really work or could really fall on its ass.
Yes. This one I was thinking could either be very entertaining or it could be horribly boring and self-indulgent and kind of fan servicey. And it thankfully surprised me. Very pleasantly surprised me. This is Kakushigoto. By for fuck's sake.
Koji Kumeta.
Koji Kameta, yes. And if any of you have seen or read Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei, same guy. Doing a very similarly formatted series, in that it's sort of a whole bunch of vignettes starring an overly dramatic, man kind of in his, 30s or 40s.
Yeah, we know a lot about Koji Kumeta's self-image between these two shows.
Sort of reacting to the people and world around him.
It's a format he makes work. I've only seen... I've seen all the Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei shit because my life is a vacuous hole.
Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei is like the fucking One Piece of, anime comedy. No, fucking Gintama is, I guess. But Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei is a pretty close second. I don't know. I can't remember how many fucking seasons of that thing there is at this point, but there's so many, it's just too intimidating for me to watch. I did watch a decent amount of it.
Is infuriating when you're trying to get into it at this point is that they keep changing the name of the fucking show every season.
Yes, that's that too. They're not just seasons, they're I guess a new series unto themselves, and they all have, naming conventions that make sense I imagine that makes sense if you speak Japanese, but I know what "moi" means, but
that's some real deep cut linguistics you got going there, Sam. What are you gonna do when the university calls?
Tell them to Yamate calling me.
Oh God, I remember. God, on the fucking depths of Reddit. We're gonna get back to the show in a second, I promise. Please believe me.
Sure, yeah.
There is a review attached to this, but I just remember the worst username I ever saw was Yamate Onisan Itai.
That's fucking cursed.
Yeah, and I fucking hated understanding it perfectly.
That's like Did he make some really well thought out, insightful comment about something that was like of the appropriate length, like didn't go too long, wasn't monosyllabic or anything like that, but he was like, was he not?
It didn't
like,
go for that joke. It was more prosaic. It was like a really normal comment and fucking Ask Reddit, but his name was Yamete Onisha Nitaya.
Fucking damn it.
Which actually brings me to why this thing, even though I like the whole Zetsubo Sensei thing, was on the maybe list. Is just I saw the premise and thought, please don't be a sister fuck show, or I guess daughter fuck show.
Oh yeah,
And
no,
I know
we've
haven't
been
quite descended
burned.
there yet in a lot of programs, but I think maybe I don't know if I've just been doing this podcast too long and there's just too many arrow manga senseis and assassins prides and shit.
And bunny drops.
Oh, bunny drops, dude. Bunny Drops one was so bad. I have a stand-up routine about Bunny Drop.
For context, let's explain the premise to this one. This is a mostly vignette-y kind of sketchy comedy about a mangaka dad, single dad. It's implied that his wife has passed on, raising their daughter, whom he adores and dotes upon endlessly, and does not want to find out that he writes dumb manga featuring dick jokes, is near as I can tell. Like the description is that, the description on anime lists and wherever the hell else is that he writes ecchi manga, but like when you watch the show, it just seems to be something along the lines of like a Danny McBride comedy, except in manga form. Just a dude who puts his pants on his head and wiggles his dick at people. Something like that.
Yeah, it's an interesting... Actually, I shouldn't say it's an interesting setup, because I actually was not too interested in the setup. What honestly is a show's crowning achievement in my book is that it really crams together a whole bunch of stuff that I normally do not like or give a shit about. And I enjoy this product.
It's not doing anything too particularly new is the thing, but it's just doing it so amazingly well.
That's true. And just one of my fucking antimatter particles in anime in particular. Actually, I fuck with this the least in novels. Anime is like a runner-up offender in this, but just writing about writing, I will just foam from the mouth, my eyes will glaze over, blood will leak from my fucking ears, because I have seen so much wank in every medium.
Including Domestic Girlfriend, which, if you remember, that motherfucker is a wannabe mangaka. Or novelist, I think actually a novelist.
It's fucking true. Domestic Girlfriend.
And but there was just something about that show's fucking formula that just made, I don't know,
sometimes a signal just gets through the ether. I can't explain it either.
He was like Hades from the Disney's Hercules movie. I love to hate that motherfucker. This though is fun because he doesn't get too amazingly wanky with the whole like, oh, I'm an artist, I make manga. This is important. This is my struggle here. You will never understand my struggle, but I'll try and get down on you. I'll try to get down to your level.
Yeah, that's one thing, and I guess it's nice that a lot of his observations are relatively idiosyncratic too, or at least he just goes deep enough into the process. Like, he writes these in a way that it seems like someone who both has done this and has an observant eye might comment on. I am amazed that so many of these things that follow a mangaka or wannabe mangaka have nothing interesting to say about it. It's one of two topics I expected to know something about. I expected to know something about that and maybe, I don't know, eating food.
Well, here's the thing. The whoever the fuck wrote, directed, whatever the fuck, Lucky Star knew a whole lot about eating food, and they wouldn't shut the fuck up about eating food, and I still didn't care. No, it's I think one of my favorite jokes. I like this series so much. It was just so endlessly just charming to me that I showed it to Morgan, who also ended up loving it. One of my favorite little gags from this was this little one-off gag where, in an effort to stay relevant, they decided the main characters in this show, besides the besides the dad and his daughter, are all the dad's assistants at his studio, right? In an effort to stay relevant and stay competitive, they decide to upgrade to the 21st century, and like they buy all sorts of Cintiqs and shit. And if you are not in the arts, then a Cintiq is basically the best fucking tablet you can own. It's the industry standard. It makes it so much easier to do your work, to do your art. It's
If the room is quiet, a Cintiq actually quietly whispers plot threads to you.
Yes, it's an unbelievably expensive and wonderful piece of equipment. And so there's this great little gag where he starts drawing on the Cintiq, and the Cintiq does not auto rasterize for him, which is to say his line work looks like shit.
Yeah, it's pretty wonderful.
Because he's old and he can't do this. So that was I think Morgan actually reacted as though she was witnessing someone shooting a puppy. Because like Morgan is right, yeah, Morgan is in the arts. Morgan is an illustrator. So it was one of those little kind of artistic bruh moments
actually,
for them.
I believe within the Weeaboo Hell canon, they are a criminal. I think we established that last episode. You gotta give people a through line to follow.
Oh God, just fucking Mark Twain say like, don't lie, and if you don't, you won't have to remember anything.
Well, if I did everything Mark Twain said to do, I would be way better off. Someone fucking kill me. But yeah, back to enjoying this show.
Oh yeah, extremely good. The supporting cast is very fun. I'm still learning their names, as takes me a while.
Oh yeah, the batch of assistants in the show are a lot of fun. There are 3 sort of child friends that the daughter has that have faces modeled off the Zetsubo Sensei characters because you gotta get that fucking money. And
thankfully, their personalities are not modeled off of said characters. That'd be a different show if it were.
It's a borderline shout out, but to yourself? I don't know. It's weird, but it doesn't really bother me.
Well, it's sort of like how Shinji Ikari is just a gender flipped Nadia from Nadia and the Secret of the Blue Water. Like you look at her face, you look at his face. They are drawn with basically the exact same facial bone structure, whatever the hell. Yeah. It's kind of like that.
And I guess it's a nice thing in create little through lines for yourself or for other people to enjoy. Since this is a review and I enjoyed most elements of the show, I am going to dive deep into my nitpicking bag and talk about the one thing I didn't like.
Oh, yes,
and it's my bizarre ass, borderline fucking spectrum nitpick for a lot of media in general. But this show does that fucking thing where when there is a sequence that is sad or morose or sort of thinky, the sort of soft piano music will hit the wall really hard and hey, are you feeling this way yet? Hey, do you see what's happening? And I know. Before your fingers fly, yes, it is the job of a soundtrack to either enhance or establish a mood, but everything has gradations and just degrees of subtlety. And this isn't the worst offender by far, but I guess it just stands out with how well modulated a lot of the other shit is. And the worst thing, I remember the thing that did this the worst in my recent memory, at least out of the things I've seen, obviously, was over here in the Degenerate West. The fucking Joker movie was a super terrible offender in this. Like, fine movie overall, right? But just the soundtrack leaning in even harder than the Joker is saying, do you see what this says about society?
Do you feel things yet?
In this scene, he's empowered. Look how empowered he is. Hold on, let's get some tracks in. And I'm not saying a soundtrack can't be fucking bombastic. Like, I fucking love all the in-your-face shit they did at those early Guardians of the... What do you mean early? They're only fucking 2. What the fuck is wrong with my brain? In those 2 Guardians of the Galaxy movies. But, yeah, you can see we're 3D nerds here on Weeaboo Hell.
So, one thing that thankfully does not happen in anime a whole lot, and it is my sort of sticking point with soundtracks and such. And it is specifically a half-hour comedy thing because I've seen a number of those in my time, which is the, kind of sad indie song that plays during the drama moment of a half-hour comedy, like usually involving either an acoustic guitar or a piano, and, like the showrunner's favorite, kind of, Bastille-esque, indie band. I think, and there's this great send-up of that on the Venture Brothers that I can remember. But like I don't know when it started, but it was probably Scrubs, right? Like Scrubs started all of the various, 21st century sitcom tropes.
That shows that a lot of them fucking momentum, the way that fucking multi-camera shows them for a while.
Scrubs and The Office were probably like the two most influential single camera sitcoms, and you just see their fucking DNA everywhere. And the sad indie song is, I'm pretty sure, one of Scrubs' sins.
But yeah, anyway,
I did like that show.
I guess that's like a. Despite all of my raving there, that is only a minor element of this show. I'm going to comedic equivalent of spoilers here in case you hate hearing jokes before they're happening. I don't know, skip 5 minutes ahead or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
There was this gag I fucking loved. I'm just gonna pick it out, even though the guy's not there that long thus far. The fucking dark fantasy author character in this fucking show.
Alright, the not Kentaro Miura guy.
Yeah, the not Miura guy was really great, and he is surrounded by a few more of these well-conceived writing jokes. Like, they talk about the experience of when your fucking series has cooled off a bit and you used to be popular.
Oh, yeah, you talk to each other by saying, so things have calmed down a bit.
Yeah, and I actually did just write down the words, finish Berserk a few times in my notes.
He was on that ship for 2 years. 2 fucking years. Bonebeard the pirate. Are you fucking kidding me?
Bonebeard.
Bonebeard.
Oh, man. I legitimately wonder where he's taking that one. I'm sure it'll be good when it happens. I'm breathing.
Well, it's not that it was a bad arc. It's just that it took him fucking years to get through it.
Yeah. Put another fucking point on the board of stop whinging about AOT pacing.
Oh, that was actually the series. If you pay attention, I didn't catch this until the second time I watched the episode. But if you pay attention, that is what inspired him to write a new dark fantasy series, is because he saw a copy of an Ursat's Attack on Titan. I think in this series it's called Attack on Gremlin, and they're wearing underwear, so it's slightly less lewd. Yeah, no, I think the guy that he talks to is supposed to be Kentaro Miura. In fact, I'm going to pull up a picture of Kentaro Miura because I think he's supposed to even look like him. Kentaro Miura.
That's interesting because they had that guy dressed up in a really idiosyncratic way. Man, Kentaro Miura looks normal as fuck. I am shocked.
Oh, wow, yeah, he does. Okay, I don't know who the fuck that guy was supposed to look like.
You could walk by him
then.
on the street because the guy they have in the show is dressed up like a nutter in like quasi-traditional clothing and everything.
Oh, what's that fucking Japanese theater bit that it's like the one guy with the fans and he plays all the roles, that like he's dressed up as though he does that. Gak something.
I'm not sure the name of that medium, actually. That's a good ass question. I guess I no longer qualify to host Weeaboo Hell. Abdicating to my new co-host, nerd aficionado Chris Hardwick. How's it going, Mr. Hardwick? Please believe me, I didn't do it. Please believe me. Sure, Mr. Hardwick. Alright, now that he is recanceled, I am back in my role.
I want to try and go into all the fun little idiosyncrasies with this show because I don't want to just leave it at, oh yeah, it's good and it's kind of charming, because, there are a lot of shows that are good and kind of charming. I sort of like it. It does have this nice little sort of bittersweet undertone to it, where it is every episode is kind of intercut with a flash forward where it's his daughter, not quite a decade later, so kind of investigating.
Like
What's up?
Yeah, she's about 18 in the flash forward.
She's about 18 in the flash forward, kind of just investigating, her father's life that he kind of kept from her. much after the fact. And if you pay attention to this flash forward, and if you even pay attention to the OP, I think he's passed away at this point.
Yeah, I think he's bit it, and it's interesting seeing a show that has such a sort of cheery core have death at the margins the way this show does.
And it certainly
like
does.
I want to say it's definitely possible to botch this kind of mixed tone, but it lands well here.
I mean, you just read Bunny Drop, and then you don't do that. Actually, Bunny Drop had a completely different problem.
No,
I guess
a very different problem.
You watch How I Met Your Mother, and then you don't do that. Although, here's the thing. I am kind of expecting some sort of interesting little twist here, right? Because, Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei ended on such a twist. So I'm expecting something of a surprise once this show kind of runs its course. Although I don't actually know how long this is going to go on for. I don't actually know if the manga has wrapped up yet, if it has.
That is a quality question. I am going to cheat using the magic of the fucking internet.
Oh, it's still ongoing. Near as I can tell.
Nice. And with the fucking grind of seasonal anime, they have plenty of time, which we keep having this conversation, but I guess that's a good trade-off for the old plague of gecko endings.
I suppose. I mean, it's like...
Well, it does feel like a lot of stuff sort of just dies before its time. I'm not sure it's definitely sort of an anchor on original anime, I think.
It seems to me like a number of these, seasonal anime that only end up getting the one season, at the very least, it's like a big, long, 12-episode long advertisement for the manga, right? Like, well, here's the thing. It's a bad example because it did get a second season, but Kaguya-sama got me fucking reading that manga. I know it got you reading the manga.
I'm caught up with that.
I was actually going to suggest that we cover the second season of Kaguya-sama for this episode, but honestly, second season, it is good in the exact way that the first season was good. It is just a continuation. It's like it's still good. There's not much else to say. Like, ink has been spilled, hands have been wrung over Kaguya-sama Love is War, and the second season is not a letdown. It is the exact same level of good and is the exact same kind of good.
Speaking of school kids, that reminds me of something I wanted to say about this one.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Now, I have some kind of horrible anti-replication technique or strain in me where I just can't take the way kids are rendered in most things. I'm not like against child actors or against child characters. I think just the creative choices that surround them often are kind of trash. But I actually liked the daughter in this one. She is kid-dumb in a way that is funny, but not abrasive or makes you dislike her.
Yeah. Well, she's very innocent. And I think that almost exaggeratedly so, because it's sort of mentioned in these flash forwards that I guess up to the day he, I think, died, he was completely successful in, keeping his professional and personal life completely separate, and she just never fucking figured out that
like
he wrote stupid manga.
Fucking great. Unless you're called shot for this show, as haha, she knew all along, which is possible. They could go that way. I have no fucking idea. It's nice that they have some wiggle room, I guess.
What I kind of enjoy, just as a sort of, it's not a genre so much, or even, I don't know if you could call it a trope, but as a little, I guess, convention, right? Is the convention of people who sort of make problems up for themselves, like Kakushigoto. I mean, the guy's name is Kakushigoto. That's the name of the. I think it also might mean something.
Oh yeah,
Japanese,
that is a big part of what makes the show as fun. Is just watching his reactions balloon into these crises, and it has. I guess the whole edge this thing has over a lot of the Sayonara experiences that the grounding in this sort of background emotional trauma of the mom's death or his impending seeming death can show a nice personal through line that works to its benefit, I think. I mean, stylistically, I produce things a lot closer to fucking Zetsubo Sensei's broad satirical sweeps and it's time for gags. I don't have time for your fucking emotions. Get out of my goddamn face.
Yeah.
But this variation is working very well for him and it's working very well for this show. and I appreciate that.
Well, I think it's because the gags very much come from the emotions, and you can kind of read not behind. You could read between, wrong preposition, the lines with Goto, and like why he feels the way he does about his profession, and like how to be the best dad he can, and what his version of the best dad he can be, to his daughter is, and you sort of. Off in the background, right, is his wife shows up in a flashback once, has a single line, right? She is barely a character, on screen, but she does have this, knowing what you do, right? That she is very likely dead, right?
Corpse
almost certainly dead. Yeah. She does have this this really interesting invisible presence within the text.
Scrooge.
He'll talk sometimes about how he kind of wished that his daughter had a mother, and it is interpreted by the people he's talking to as specifically the women that he's talking to about it as him hitting on them.
That's one of the again with the show. That's one of those. That's like one of the kind of gags where nobody just fucking hate and it lands at end. Oh, I'm gonna do it. I guess sometimes it depends on the execution. Please don't unsubscribe. Please, I love you.
We want you to stay. I'm glad that I could get a little bit further into this than just it's just things executed well. But yeah, no, it's I'm trying to find this show's beating heart. And I think it is because
I guess
of how
it's a little
genuine.
Well,
it's because of how genuine Goto and his love for his daughter ultimately feels, even if it is expressed in a very silly way. And just the fact that he does feel like a genuinely good dad, despite the dumb things that he does to himself for the most part. It never seems
What's
to
that
feel
Radiohead song you like? It's 'cause you do it to yourself. I can't get
Just,
the name
yeah.
off my head. Just.
It's just off of the Bends. My favorite song of theirs.
Turn the self-destruction in Just down 60% and you sort of get Goto in this.
Yes, yeah, he just it's not that he's destroyed his life, he's just made his life more difficult than it needs to be. And you never get the sense that Hime, right, his daughter, that he is fucking her up or making her life any worse than it needs to be. It's literally just him.
He is taking the long route through one of the city maps in fucking Mario Kart in this show.
Yeah, because she is, they go to great lengths to just say, oh yeah, she's just a normal kid. She, she thinks about kid things. Like he's, I guess technically,
detective agency,
which I guess is common or something. I'm not sure. I think that must be a riff on something that I'm not aware of.
That's possible. I don't know. Maybe kids are just less lazy pieces of shit than we are here.
It could be. I don't know. I think they have a little bit more freedom. That's why Pokemon is slightly more plausible in Japan, especially because, right, we were coming off the heels of the Satanic Panic in the mid 90s when Pokemon dropped, right? So the idea of a 10-year-old, going out and adventuring through, I guess, Ursat's Tokyo, right, on their own, fucking ludicrous, in the States.
They have a reality TV show. I can't vouch for how good or bad it is. It just exists, but you just ask a kid to go get these groceries, and the show just follows them trying to pull this off.
What?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
I fucking love Japanese television. Just whatever the fuck happens to be on, be it anime or otherwise.
I do like that their reality TV seems to be motivated a bit more by peak and less by the black beating heart of cruelty that is British reality television. I was gonna say American, but they've really beat us on that one. Some of the shit.
American reality television seems to be sort of based on just
spectacle.
Not even spectacle, because that's what Japanese television, Japanese reality television seems to be based on. I think American reality television is just, it doesn't have to be good, but what do we have to do to just have it be so that they don't change the channel? What is the minimum amount that we can do so that, I think in an earlier episode I was talking about how American snack food is made to be purposefully kind of bland so that you'll eat a lot of it. A lot of American things are made to be that way, and reality television is no different.
That's a fair insight. It kind of sounds like America's reality television is just stretching along that first Tinder date, trying not to say anything about their fucking internal Republican leanings on their New York City date.
But then again, there's also The Masked Singer, which is just a really weird show, which I know that y'all watch it a whole lot over there, but I can't do it because it is, to me, too much, or seems just to be too much like what Guy Montag's wife watches, for 24 hours a day. Just like this sort of show that someone who lives in a dystopia would watch, just that would be what is on television. And I don't like being reminded of the fact that I do in fact live in such a dystopia. So I think that is why I just cannot fucking into that show.
I will disagree with you on one small point.
Which is to say?
Use the word over there. I live 3 blocks from you. I know the fucking planet's on fucking shutdown, but I'm not in goddamn France right now.
Okay, over there, 3 blocks over. Fine.